මේක අපි මේ ස්ටාර්ට් කරන්න නැතුව පුළුවන්ද යන්න?
පුළුවන් සර් යන්න.
හරි disconnect. Right. Hi Senaka, how are you?
How are you?
Good. Just wondering whether then අපි අරිමු නේද මේක to the
open cancel.
අරිමු නේ?
Yeah. My wife is also joining.
Good. Right, we have opened to the public now.
She got it now. She got it now.
She's connecting separately or what? She's with you or? What is the time there, Senaka?
Now it's 6:15 morning.
Right, 6:15, right. I think Bante is in some other place, he told me.
He's in the US.
Yeah, US, but he's gone to another state, I think. So the time, time there is quite early. He said 4:15 or something.
Huh. I was wondering what had happened.
No. I want to maybe I'll put the banner and keep so that everyone will know what it is.
Yeah.
Okay.
I want to introduce another monk in Canada. He's Gangodevilla Tandima.
Right. Okay.
In future.
Yeah. Maybe we'll keep in mind for the one of the upcoming ones.
I didn't inform him yet, but anyhow, you better plan your programs, then we can accommodate him as well.
Yeah, we can do that because we are having a few that are coming up for next month also. We plan, so maybe.
Good. Yeah. It's open.
Right.
I send this link to Jnanasiya Thera also. Rama Jnanasiya Thera.
Right. I also sent him one, so most probably he might.
Only 3, no?
That is our panelists, but we are having the other attendees separately.
Separate, yeah. I shared my one to you. You got it.
Better to mute so that then maybe because what we speak is heard outside.
Yeah.
Senaka, can you just check and see about Bante?
I'll check that.
Yeah.
I'll send a message now.
Yeah. Welcome, Kamal.
Hi, Lakshman.
Hi. Dr. Sumana? Yeah.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Nice to see you.
Oh, Bante has come. Or
Yeah.
Bante is there? No. I think. Let me see. Yeah, right. Bante has come from the other one. Okay. Right. Okay. Fine.
He's
Hi.
He's there.
Yeah. Sarnai Bante.
Suddenly it looks like I had joined from a
No, that's no problem. I've taken
from a different account.
inside. Would you like to see your share screen? I have permitted. If you can just try when.
Absolutely. It looks like it's working.
Fine.
And great to
It's
see
working.
Sumana, Dr. Sumana sir.
Right. Good. Maybe you can now close the share screen, Bante. Okay. Fine.
Happy to see you, Venerable.
Very, very happy to see you. I saw you the other day speaking with Gubodhi.
Yeah.
I was kind of in the back of my head, I thought maybe you will also join this event.
Definitely. That's right.
I'm not sure if my lighting is good so far.
Okay, if it can be increased, that might be better.
If you focus the light on you, is better.
That's right. So I will have to turn in that sense, and this table is not something that I can turn right now. Let me see.
I think it's all right. We can.
I can at least get a light on my face. So
if you have a table lamp, it's better.
Bante, if you speak a little loud, then come on the main screen, then we can see.
Is this better? I think this is the most I can do right now in this.
Right. Okay, that's all right. Yeah.
I think you can increase the volume, Bante. If you go to the right hand side, there is a mic and arrow upward.
Yes.
There you have the way to increase your audio settings.
So is it because you don't hear me very well, or is it because you want me to hear you?
Yeah, we can't hear you so well.
Oh, I see. So let me.
If you go to the.
Is this better?
Yeah, a little better.
All right.
Right. I think comments are that it's okay. Okay.
Looks like
And,
I have put it into the maximum volume.
Yeah.
So,
No, we can hear. We can hear. No problem, Bhante.
Okay.
Right, okay. So maybe we can start now. Budu Saranai. I wish to welcome you on behalf of the National Council for International Affairs of the All Ceylon Buddhist Congress for the Navam Full Moon Poya Day Dhamma Desana. Dhammanupassana, meditation on Dhammas, observing the organic experience that leads to awakening conducted by Bhante Kusala, resident monk in Great Lakes Buddhist Vihara, Southfield, USA. The agenda will be as follows. We have a brief introduction of Bhante, then we have observance of Pansil, then there will be a guided meditation, Dhamma Desana, followed by Dhamma discussion. So roughly between 1 hour to 15 minutes to 1 hour to 30 minutes is the time that we have put from 6 to 7:30. So I think we are very, very fortunate to have the second Poya program and the third Dhamma Desana for this year. And I'm also happy that we have been able to connect. Although we are having the COVID pandemic, we have been able to really connect with many countries. Bhante Kusala is based in the USA. Then Dr. Suvana is based in Switzerland. Kamal is based in the UK. And Seneka is based in Canada. And I can see a lot of my other friends from USA, from Nepal, from Malaysia, many other countries that are participating. So really the COVID-19 pandemic has enabled us to spread the message of Lord Buddha, and we are very happy that the All Ceylon Buddhist Congress has been able to take the lead in this respect and to have these programs every Poya Day. So today is a very, very holy day for us, the Navam Poya, Full Moon Poya Day, and I think of very much significance to all Buddhists. And also we have in Sri Lanka today, we have the Navam Perahara, which will be starting at 7 p.m. at Gangarama Vihara. So I would now invite our Seneka Samarasinghe, who's based in Winnipeg, Canada, who was really responsible for inviting Bhante Kusala. I will ask him to introduce Bhante Kusala.
Thank you, Professor Vatwala. It is my privilege to introduce Bhante Kusala to ACBC deliver Dhamma Navam Full Moon Poya Day. Bhante Kusala is the Buddhist monk from Sri Lanka who was born in 1987. At the age of 16, he entered monastic life at Sri Ganga Siri Vihara, Galle district in Sri Lanka. He completed his undergraduate and graduate studies in University of Peradeniya, major in Pali language. In 2012 and 2013, he moved to Italy. He studied cognitive science and engaged in mindfulness-based research in University of Trento, which is the higher university for social sciences in Italy. Subsequently, he came to Harvard University to follow a master's degree in divinity. After graduation, he became the resident priest in Rhim and Women's Hospital in Dana Paper Cancer Institute in Boston, Massachusetts, USA. Bhante Kusala conducted lectures in Pali and Buddhism in University of Peradeniya and in Lanka International Buddhist Academy in Kundasala. He spent 2 summer seasons in Dhamma Sukha Meditation Center in Missouri, USA. He travels Sri Lanka, Indonesia with Bhante Vimala Rama C, an American Buddhist monk. He is the head of the above center. Since 2012, Bhante Kusala served as an interpreter, English to Sinhala, to Ajahn Braham, British Australian monk, and Dhammari living in Australia, and Bhikkhu Analeo, German Buddhist monk. Bhante Kusala completed his teaching in Pali in Mid-America Buddhist Association, Missouri State, USA. Currently is following PhD in Pali in Sri Javadhanapura University. Since 2018, Bhante Kusala lives in Great Lake Buddhist Vihara in Michigan State, USA.
Bante, yeah.
Please say Namo Tassa 3 times to observe the 5 precepts.
Namo Dassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Dassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa.
Buddhang Saranang Gacchami.
Saranang Gacchami.
Dhammang Saranang Gacchami.
Dhammang Saranang Gacchami.
Sanghang Saranang Gacchami.
Sanghang Saranang Gacchami.
Dutiyampi Buddhang Saranang Gacchami.
Dutiyampi Buddhang Saranang Gacchami.
Dutiyampi Dhammang Saranang Gacchami.
Sanghang Saranang
Dutiyampi Sanghang Saranang Gacchami.
Gacchami.
Tatiyampi Buddhang Saranang Gacchami.
Dutiyampi Buddhang Saranang Gacchami.
Tatiyampi Dhammang Saranang Gacchami.
Yampi Dhammang Saranang Gacchami.
Tatiyampi Sanghang Saranang Gacchami.
Yampi Sanghang Saranang Gacchami.
Panatipata Veramani Sikkhapadang Samadhiyami.
Adipata Viramani Sikkhapadang Samadhiyami.
Adinnadana Veramani Sikkhapadang Samadhiyami.
Sikkhapadang Samadhiyami.
Kamesu Miccācara Veramani Sikkhapadang Samadhiyami.
Kami Samichachara Kami Sikkhapadang.
Musavada Veramani Sikkhapadang Samadhiyami.
Nisavada Veramani Sikkhapadang.
Duramere Majjapamadatthana Veramani Sikkhapadang Samadhiyami. So, according to the schedule, I think this is the time for guided meditation. And after that, we will move on with this, the talk. Please prepare for a brief guided meditation. And after that, I will start the Dhamma Desana. Please close your eyes and prepare yourself by observing what is happening around you and bringing that attention to the center of your heart. You may as well take a deep breath in and release. This is a moment to scan your body to make sure you feel very comfortable. You may begin with your head moving and wiggling and making sure you don't have any agitations there. You can keep a light, gentle smile on your face, so it may affect your attitude and ease of being. Your neck is aligned with your spine. Your shoulders, where there might be some anxiety, are also relaxed. Your chest, you can take a deep breath in to notice your chest and release as your lungs find some comfort in that releasing. Your stomach is relaxed and also your sitting bones. Muscles that are tightened are relaxed. Your knees bent and the soles of your feet, these are also relaxed. Now you are grounded and being rooted to this great earth that is very stable in its own ways. And you are deeply rooted to the ground. Moving away from agitations, make sure you feel very relaxed to begin this guided meditation. Mindfully you breathe in, mindfully you breathe out. Mindfully you breathe in, mindfully you breathe out. Taking a long breath, you know you are taking a long breath. Or if it happens to be a short breath, you know it as it is. Inhaling and exhaling, Your mindfulness on breath is being established properly and steadily. With each in-breath, there is peace. With each out-breath, there is letting go. Peace, let go. Having let go of the past and the future, you notice that your breath is happening now. So you stay fully present with it. Now you become sensitive to the whole breath body. So you breathe in and breathe out. With that sensitivity, so you have moved away from seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, physical sensations, and thinking. Your breath may become so subtle, but you are still focused on it. You are tranquilizing your body, tranquilizing your in-breath and out-breath as you breathe in and breathe out very mindfully. In a minute or two, we will notice a transition from body to the mind, and then we will end this guided meditation. Notice the clarity of your mind, purity of it, things that arise and pass away, you are not holding on to any of these experiences. You are just observing, letting things arise and letting things be. It is wonderful to not get involved. Sometimes what is strongly present might be the mindfulness factor of awakening, sati sambojjhanga, which needs to be developed with further attention and exercise. If your mind is dull, arouse some energy, virya, so you become little more attentive and focused. After a brief silence, you will hear a bell, and that will be the end of this guided meditation. Great. So looks like we have 1 full hour for the Dhamma Desana. So thank you for having me. Thank you for inviting me for the Dhamma Desana, and I'm grateful for Senaka Mahatma for all the coordinations, also for the patience of Lakshman Mahatma as the event was being organized. So I'm joining from Nevada. It was 4:30 in the morning when I joined. And it's much better because I'm being hosted by this family that has 3 little children. And it's great that they are sleeping so we can focus fully on this event. They become little monsters sometimes because they don't understand what I'm doing. And after this event, I will be in the airport heading back to Michigan, where I normally stay. So first of all, I am also very delighted to see Dr. Sumana Ratnayaka, my teacher in university life and also in a spiritual life. He has one of the top places in my heart as a teacher as well as a spiritual guide. So I was surprised that he also joined after Bhikkhu Bodhi's event, that he also wanted to join this event, which makes me very happy. So to begin with, I have prepared some slides that will help me. I hope you can see the screen. Is it on your?
Yes, Bhante, we can see. Yeah.
Perfect. So I thought of naming this presentation as although it is Dhammanupassana in Pali, having done some research on this, I have decided to name it as meditation on Dhammas. Or else, in the American context, I have heard people saying observing the organic experience. And organic is a term that is very popular in the marketing world because organic doesn't have added things to make it better. Whether it is a fruit or a vegetable, it seems like people prefer organic food from the ordinary food that is cultivated in farms. So if you look at your mind, and even during the time of our guided meditation, you might have noticed that you can multiply or add things into your mind, or you can also just step back and observe. So this quality of observing is very essential for us to see what is arising and what is passing away. So the term Dhammanupassana has Dhamma and Anupassana. So Anupassana has the quality of observing closely the Dhammas. So the Dhamma here is whatever that arises in you. And why we learn this? It is because Dhammanupassana is the central part of your spiritual experience. On a day like this, which is the Navam full moon day, I'm sure you have given more attention to your spiritual life.
Bante, sorry, you have to unmute Bante.
I thought I was.
Yeah. No, I had to close all because our knives was coming. Sorry about that, Bante.
Yes, there were some noises coming, but those are not. Yeah. So glad we are back on voice. And when we talk about Dhammanupassana, someone might, who is not familiar with the Buddhist terms, they might ask the question like, are we learning about some techniques? I would say these are little more than techniques, without which you are not going to have an awakening experience. So these are tools that I think that are essential in our toolkit, in our journey toward Nibbana. I think it would make things easier if I explain to you about the lotus nature of mind. If you can see my palms, I have joined my palms together. In my joining of palms together, I have made it look like a lotus. And as you know, when the sunlight comes, the lotus begin to open. And in that opening, you see beautiful layers of petals, one after the other, and the lotus has now fully blossomed. And if you if you observe it closely, you see that the lotus has very, delicate petals inside and little bit coarse petals outside. And these petals outside are a little bit thicker, not that smooth, and they also have some dirt, some exposure to sunlight and to hard conditions. But when it blooms, when it opens, you will notice the fragrance inside, the softness inside, and the beauty, all these qualities open up. So this is our mind's nature as well, that from the outer, surface experience, It has the veils and the movements and the 5 hindrances and all the dirt. When the wisdom light dawns on it, when the wisdom light comes, it begins to open and open and open. And when it is fully opened, you will see the most beautiful layers of petals that you have never seen before. And you let things open without you getting involved. And these beautiful layers have names. These have been named by the Buddhas, the Arahants, and they have themselves experienced these layers. And also they are there inviting us to go and experience on our own with our own wisdom. So Dhammanupassana is, in that sense, very essential for us to really notice what need to be seen and where our attention should be. So let's move on. Now, I think this is a relatable experience for all of you. If you notice that in the picture there is an empty boat, and it is in the middle of the ocean. The ocean is calm, and this has a story that I like to share with people. There was this young man. He was very enthusiastic of having the best silent place for his meditation. So he decided to get on a boat and go as far as possible away from people, from the land, so he could have the most secluded, silent place for his meditation. So he reached the middle of the ocean, and he thought this is the best place to be, and he closed his eyes and began his meditation. So he was doing pretty well for quite some time, and all of a sudden he started hearing some noises. Something was hitting against his boat, and he didn't know what to do about it. He thought it is those fishermen, that they have come and they have started like messing with his boat, and he thought he was in danger. And this also all this chatter in his head brought tons of thoughts into his mind, and it also came with a baggage of habitual anger that he has been experiencing and trying to get away with. So he was not willing to open his eyes at this moment, but he was still like arguing with it. Why these people are bothering me? Why can't they just go away and leave me alone? So this was their, he thought this is their place, so they will just poke me a little bit and go away. Because this, something is hitting his boat and it was not stopping, he then finally decided to open his eyes and see what was really going on, only to find out, only to realize that it was an empty boat. It was not fishermen, it was nothing that he ever imagined, it was just an empty boat. And then he realized all these people, all these noises are empty boats, that he didn't have to really get involved. Although by default, our nature is to get involved with empty boats wherever, wherever we happen to be, whether you are in a meditation retreat center or in a monastery or in your room, secluded alone, or in an airplane or in your car. We do not see empty boats. We always see boats with, full of people, and we complain. Right in that moment, if you just began noticing the arising and passing away, you are getting closer to becoming a true yogi and experiencing the organic experience without really having, your own stuff added into it. So, right mindfulness is key in listening to this Dhamma Desana, as you will not want to really miss anything and everything in this Desana. And it, you can see that when you have right mindfulness, you have kind of, you notice your mind is focusing on cupcakes, apples, bags, and all the cravings and thoughts. This is when you are not seeing the empty boat nature. You are just seeing full boats. You are seeing many things, the cluttered nature of mind. So with right mindfulness, you will be able to have the clarity and reach to a state where you are not so involved with that experience. All this mess, look, your face is going to be long sometimes. This long face means you are not experiencing any peace. So Dhammanupassana is part of, including that mindfulness I just mentioned. Dhammanupassana is part of the 4 foundations of mindfulness. And the first part is Kayanupassana, the body awareness. The second part is feelings. The feeling is Vedananupassana. And the third is observing the mind. In that you observe the mind that has lust, the mind that has hatred, the mind that has the delusion. Whichever happens to be the experience of the mind, you observe that experience of the mind as they happen to be.
Ante,
And then,
there is a request to speak a little loud, if you can, please.
absolutely, maybe I'll come closer to the screen. So maybe, is it better?
A little better, yes.
All right, maybe I will speak louder. And if I happen to be not that loud, not loud enough, please remind me again. So I want you all to hear me better. And you can also see on the screen that there is a place, in the center is awareness of, which has an eye, that is the center. And then on the green mark is the body. And then downwardly, you will see the feelings. So body and feelings, and then the thoughts, and then the reality. So in this image, you see that Dhammanupassana has been named as reality. So, and I think I would accept that as an accurate observation, accurate translation, because, mind's experience can also be called the reality that you're experiencing at that moment. And when it comes to observing the body, the Satipatthana Sutra has 6 aspects of it. It begins with observing your breath, and then you move on to observing your 4 postures, and then you go on to observing all the activities that you do in your body. And while you are doing those, you observe your mind, what your mind does, so you have clear comprehension. And after that, you move on to, this is still within the body. You observe the 4 elements, the 32 parts of the body, and then the 9 stages of the body in decay. And you see how the body comes to be and the body disappears. And then in terms of feelings, you have the pleasant feelings, unpleasant feelings, neither painful nor pleasant feelings. And then in terms of thoughts, I mentioned earlier briefly that, it could be lustful feelings, the lustful thoughts, the thoughts with hatred, and the deluded thoughts, as well as the experience of the mind alone when it has expanded, contracted, when it experiences some other beautiful experiences, like sometimes it could also be a jhanic experience, and you observe that. And then it could be a moment of experiencing a hindrance where you feel dull and restless, and you also observe that. So this is about observing the experience of the mind. With that experience on body, feelings, and mind, you begin noticing the Dhammas. And let's see what they are. And again, this is still the 4 foundations of mindfulness: the mindfulness of body, mindfulness of feelings, mindfulness of mind, mindfulness of the Dhamma. And when it comes to the Dhammanupassana, the Satipatthana Sutra has these 5 aspects to be observed. You can see how big of a subject you have in front of you, and sometimes it is often ignored because in Dhamma Desanas, the Kayanupassana alone takes really like hours of explanation, and sometimes the talk ends before you even get into the Dhammanupassana part. And here is great, we begin with this, that the whole corpus of the Dhammanupassana includes the 5 hindrances, the nivaranas, the aggregates, the khandhas, the sense spheres, your ayatanas, the awakening factors, the bojjhangas, the 4 noble truths, the 4 Arya Satyas. So these are when you have this in front of you, you can see that you have tons of toys to play with and understand in the Dhammanupassana experience. And when you are noticing any of these, whether you are sleepy, whether you were becoming awakened with mindfulness, whether you are observing the arising of dukkha, you are doing the meditation on Dhammas. Now to the 5 hindrances. You can see an image of these monks and what they are experiencing. You can see the first monk is dealing with anger, and the second one dealing with the sensory desire, the third one dealing with restlessness and worry, the fourth one is dealing with doubt, and then the fifth one with sloth and torpor. All these are, great experiences. Nothing to really run away, but to observe. And the Buddha says, you observe how they came to be, and you observe how they disappeared, how they vanished, and you make sure, how to prevent them from arising again. This is where you need some skill. You stay in a place where these hindrances, these things that bother your path, these things that hinder your path will not arise. And primarily, if you can have the image of you yourself walking in the forest and noticing a snake, and you don't step on it, right? You take a step back and you don't really end your journey there. You take cautious actions. You put the steps forward carefully, avoiding the snake and moving on, like going forward. You don't stop the journey, you continue the journey. So this is exactly what you will do when you notice any of these hindrances. And seeing yourself sometimes in the view of the 5 hindrances, they are always pulling you in different directions. They want a piece of you, and they have the power to pull you toward samsara, to feeling dull, to feeling like restless, to give up on your meditation, to not really engage. In that, a skillful person who is, who knows how to deal with them will really take some actions, and I will show you which actions um, you can take. I have a slide that may be coming later. So I think I will save this conversation to the slide later. And primarily, please bear in your mind that when it comes to 5 hindrances, all you need to do is awareness of your hindrances. For example, if it happens to be the senses that are bothering you and bringing you all the news stories, and taking your attention away from your object of meditation, all you need to do is to become aware of it, how to notice how things arise, and make sure you lead yourself to a place of their non-arising. And that means you know that these 5 hindrances are a danger, and you continue your focus and you stay with the breath, or whether it was your loving kindness, you stay with it, being loving, being kind, and you will see their disappearance eventually. And there you have passed the danger zone, but it doesn't mean that they may not arise again. They will arise, but you will notice before they become bothersome to you again. So that is the first aspect of the meditation on Dhammas. The second one is the 5 aggregates. You see the form in the center, so the Rupa Skandha, and you have feelings, Skandha, Vedana, and you have perception, Sanya, and mental formation, your Sankharas, and then also the aggregate of 6 classes of consciousness, including the mind consciousness. These are skandhas, the heaps that happens to be our experience, and you observe these as these are like building blocks, and they construct a sense of personal identity about you depending on what you experience. And we tend to name these as, this is me, this is mine, this is myself. So these aggregates need to be observed, need to be taken into serious consideration. When you meditate on the Dhammas, you will see the samudaya, the arising of at least one of your experiences in a sense door, and then you will see how it came to be based on phassa, the contact, and then if those things were not present, there won't be any arising, and you will be like, how delightful would that be to not have, to be free from the body. So you will not have phassa in the sense of experiencing it as an aggregate, experiencing any aggregate, no contact whatsoever with the body. And imagine, that you will be free from tons of feelings, and you will be, you will not be experiencing any fuss, any contact with the body at all. And this is possible when you are not experiencing any aggregate, when you are not being in touch with, in contact with any aggregate. You have come to resting, and this may as well be a nibbanic experience. So these are very profound states, but not easy to explain with just one image here. We will come back to it in our question and answer for, time. Here, the idea is you have perceptions, feelings, consciousness, mental formation, and in the center you have rupa, and all these are five skandhas that need to be observed as they arise and pass away. So then the third one is five senses and the mind. This is the ayatanas, I think, which also has a strong relationship with the skandhas, the aggregates. Here the ayatanas include, like I mentioned in the guided meditation, seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, physical sensations, and thinking. This is a cognitive process, and this is something that is often ignored because people think that meditation is just the breathing meditation or loving kindness meditation or meditation on repulsiveness or something. But here there's really some great work happening if you are able to stop for a moment and observe. Like when you close your eyes, you aren't associating forms outside of your eyes. You will be experiencing the mental forms, but you aren't really inviting any forms from your eyes. Nothing, no shadows, no images, no forms are seen from your naked eye outside. But if you do take, seeing something as your experience, you see your eyes open, that is your ajjata, internal experience, and you see something in front of you, that is your bahiddha, the external experience, and you see for the two to come together, ajjata bahiddha, there should be your, you become conscious on it. So there you see the eye consciousness arising, chakku vinyana is arising, and the meeting of these three is called passa. Tinnang sangati passo. When the three things come together, this is called contact. This is the Dhammic term, and this is the only way that the Buddha would want an ordinary person to observe the experience with the eye. And like I asked earlier, if your eye wasn't there, the physical eye wasn't there, and if it did not see a form, if it did not pay attention to a form, and the eye consciousness did not arise, and there won't be any contact, any passa arising, because no three things coming together happen. And you see the vaya experience, the cessation experience right there, and you will notice that you can observe this very nature in terms of your hearing, smelling, tasting, physical sensations, and thinking. When you are able to do that, when you have seen it enough, you know that no matter how many times you see it, this is it. This is how things arise. This is how things come to be. And this is how things cease. And in Satipatthana Sutra, the Buddha says, Anissitocha viharati. Then you stay not associating any of these. You don't label things. You don't take things as yours. You don't create papanchas, which means there are no proliferations. And you are getting closer to a peaceful experience which may arise, which you may have conditioned it to arise anytime in your meditation. And it is delightful whenever you feel like, you are on the right path, you are seeing the Dhammas as they arise and as they pass away, and you aren't really rushing, but you are letting things be. And this involves, for letting things be, this involves taming the mind. And you see a crocodile and a monkey, a snake, a jackal, and a dog, and also a bird. All these, have been connected with a thread and are finally, resting. You are in the center. You yourself have taken all the power to your hand with so much virya, so much effort to tame this mind. And the fourth aspect of our Dhammanupassana experience is the 7 factors of awakening. You see, on the left-hand side is an image of the Buddha, and then I say 7 factors of enlightenment. And on the right-hand side, to me, says the Bodhjangas. And you see 3 on one side, investigation, energy, and joy on one side. And on the other side, as passive states, is calm, concentration, and equanimity. So there are active things you do. You actively investigate, arouse energy, and let joy arise. So where do we begin? You begin with awareness, your mindfulness. You can name these in different ways based on how you would like to name them. And you see the awareness is holding, there it is balancing the mind. So the first awakening factor, mindfulness, is balancing all of it together. And when that mindfulness is is stronger, it is onward leading. It does the job on its own by making conditions for it to arise. And usually when mindfulness has arisen, the Buddha says bhave tabbam bahuli katabbam. You develop it and make more of it, make more conditions for it to arise. Even in the steps you are taking, you are mindful. You are mindful of, where you are. You are mindfulness of what steps you are taking, and you let go of everything else and come fully, attentive to the steps you are taking as you are walking. And there, Dhamma Vichaya, you begin investigating. You stop for a moment and you investigate. What was it? Usually we notice things when we have already experienced it. And if it happens to be, say, a lustful thought, and you're like, what was it? And you investigate. That is, Dhamma Vichaya. You investigate that experience. How did it arise? Did it arise from a thought? And how did it disappear? Did it disappear because of my energy? Did it disappear because of my mindfulness? You notice that, whatever that caused it to disappear, you increase it so that which that has disappeared will not come back stronger. And because of your continuous observation, it is obvious that energy, persistence will arise, and joy also will accompany that energy. And these are, in other words, you are going to, see the glimpses of jhanic experiences, because when you have taken a break from sensual experiences, there is vivekajang piti sukha, the joyful happiness that arises from seclusion, born from seclusion. And I think these factors are, factors of awakening, and you make more of it. This is how you meditate on Dhammas. And on the other side, you see passaddhi, tranquility. In the slide, you see the word calm, and this is tranquility, passaddhi, and then the next one is concentration, samadhi, and some venerable monks prefer to translate it as stillness. You are stilled, like when you are seated under a tree by the lake, and you let the animals enjoy the water in the lake, and you aren't moving. You are staying totally silent, totally, letting things be. And you will notice when you are silent, when you aren't really involved, you will see that the most beautiful, never seen before kind of animals come and enjoy the waters. Isn't that a beautiful experience? It really is. So this is when, stillness is so important. Your chatter, your involvement, your my making, I making doesn't have to be there. You let things be, and you let the time, disappear. You aren't worried, stressed about the time, and the awakening factor of stillness will do its job. And finally, you have equanimity, upekha. This becomes stronger in the third jhana, and it is said that the third jhana, the noble ones say, this is the Ariyanam Tunhi Bhavo, the real noble silence where your mind has, turned off chatter, the thinking, and your meditation has never been any easier. Your mind has never been any calmer. Your mind has never been any beautiful, any radiant, any luminous before when it comes to this experience. And these are, onward leading again, attainments are possible. This equanimity itself becomes stronger. There is so much balance is present in you, and you welcome it. You stay present with it. So let's move on. You see that I have put a bunch of flowers here. You notice in the first factor of awakening, again, if it was your time to meditate on the first factor of awakening, that is the mindfulness factor, the sati sambodhanga, you notice, according to the instructions of Satipatthana Sutra, you notice, you ask yourself, is sati is present or absent? How does it come to arise? How does the complete development of mindfulness come about? There is so much responsibility in your hand when you see that last line. How does the complete development of mindfulness come about? This is very important that you keep that in mind, that for complete development of mindfulness, because it is also a factor of your middle path, Majjhima Patipada, you notice that for sati factor to be developed in your Majjhima Patipada, you notice that you can learn a little bit more about what you don't really know. That is perhaps the jhanic levels that you need to know, and you see where you can pay close attention to the factors in the jhana and how you can really develop, really like strive to maintain what you have developed So that requires a strong level of mindfulness, and these are not impossible. These are possible, doable, and your Dhamma is Sandittika and Akalika, so you will be able to experience it even today. All right, then you have the Noble Truths, where the Satipatthana Sutra says, a monk knows it really is, this is suffering, about the truth of suffering. And what it means really is, like I mentioned earlier, about three things coming together, which is, internal, sense door, and the external something, and the consciousness coming together, and there arises, the arising phenomena seem, becoming clear to you. This is where, contact arises. This is where suffering comes to be, right? Imasmin yeva vyamamatte kalebare. Within this, one measure body, you see the arising of suffering. And how would you experience the ceasing of it? The very experience that you just observed, if the internal experience wasn't there, something external wasn't present, and no consciousness coming, into being wasn't there, then contact won't arise. There you see when there is no footing for consciousness, consciousness cease to exist. So you will see the solution right there. So the cessation is possible. You see what a truth that you can end this suffering, and you implement, you take the action plan, which involves having the, letting go of ditti. Dittincha anupagamma, dasanena sampanno. You become a person who has dasana. You let go of ditti, you let go of wrong views. You have now come to realize that you have all the essential tools. You have the middle path taught by the Supreme Buddha. And you have it present for your own benefit, and the eightfold path becomes clearer to you that this is the way, and you take the steps with sila and samadhi and prajna, purifying your virtues, making conditions for stillness to arise, and developing your wisdom. Whatever is lacking in your wisdom awareness, you develop it. So how much time do we have now?
Venerable, another 10 minutes.
Perfect. And do we have a time for question answer after 10 minutes, or is this the time for question and answer?
We can keep a few minutes so Venerable can finish, Bante can finish your...
All right, so it's just a few more slides, and then we
Yeah.
will open it for Q&A. So I have taken an excerpt from the Mindfulness Survival Kit by Thich Nhat Hanh. And he says the third noble truth is that there is an end of all being. This means that suffering can be transformed into happiness. The third truth is the confirmation that well-being, the real well-being is possible, happiness is possible, and peace is possible. So I think that's a very beautiful quote that says that, in a realistic way, that the Buddha never said that life is suffering. He said there is suffering in life, and there is happiness and highest happiness, and how you can achieve it. Because sometimes people have this wrong understanding that the Buddhism is so negative and that the Buddha taught about suffering only. That is not true. And if you look at the teachings of the Buddha, he taught that the highest well-being is possible, and his instructions guide us toward achieving the highest well-being. So these are the things you got to do: preventing unwholesome mental states, abandoning the unwholesome, mental states that have already been arisen, developing the wholesome mental states that are yet to arise, and sustaining the wholesome mental states that have already been arisen. And for that, you need to have indriya samvara, restraining your sense faculties, and your sensory contact comes with the baggage of identification, and you have a response based on whatever you experience. And with mindfulness, when the mindfulness pillar has come about, you can make a good choice there. Which direction am I headed? And you bring it closer to the organic experience, and you have your own awakening tools. So here, I think this is the very last thing I will discuss. These are the techniques you find in, I think this is found in the Vitakka Santana Sutta. Sometimes, for example, these are, sometimes techniques taught to yogis when you are practicing meditation. One of the techniques, if you are so interested in learning techniques, is to replace ill will with loving kindness, replacing something with something. The other technique is reflecting on the unwholesome thoughts as something vile, something ignoble, and consider it as negative, and also observe the negative consequences of it. Then you move away. You have this rush to move away from it. And then redirecting your attention by looking away and confronting your thoughts and investigating its source, suppressing through force or force, not really ill will, but will. This has been described as the last resort in there, that your teeth clenched together. Sometimes your energy is now physical and you have not given up. So mindfulness clears the ground for insight into the nature of things, bringing to light phenomena in the now, stripped of all the subjective commentary, interpretations, and projections. This is Venerable Bhikkhu Bodhi's statement. And these are my favorite quotes. You suffer, I suffer, therefore we are friends. This is why we need to have Dhamma discussions. And we know that sometimes there is this path, there is no traveler, there is awakening, there is no one entering it. Take time to contemplate on this. And samadhi is an intensified concentration that results from a deliberate attempt to raise the mind to a higher, more purified level of awareness. And you have unbroken attentiveness and tranquility. These are the features of samadhi. And you have many ways, like 10 kasinas, 10 recollections, and you have insight. You have the dhyanas. I don't think I'm going to go into details. I would just send the slides to people if they need to learn, but also you have the sources available for it. Anyway, let's open for questions if we have the time. I have the time.
Yeah.
And see where people are.
Can I read the first question, Venerable?
Sure.
What stage can we attain if we practice only kaya upassana, or should we practice all four?
Well, practicing kayanupassana means you are practicing all four. Because, in Satipatthana practice, I would encourage you to read it very carefully, that sometimes even in kayanupassana practice, there is, this insight part repeatedly mentioned all throughout the Satipatthana Sutra. I think it's more than 22 times in it. Always there the Buddha is telling us to see the arising phenomena, cessation phenomena, and for someone who has who has become a Sutava Arya Savako, a noble disciple who has heard the Dhamma, who is learned about it, they are, even beginning with Kayanupassana alone is enough, but it is all woven together that it also includes Vedananupassana, Dhammanupassana, and Chittanupassana in it. And it is a matter of being patient and taking the time to really see. Say, for example, I can explain with observing the 4 elements. In that experience, you see, when you are observing the earth element, the water element, fire element, heat element, you can't just stay there. Sometimes the pleasant feelings arise, sometimes unpleasant feelings arise, and you are automatically invited to observe the Vedanas. And you can't, for a, comprehensive experience, you will want to really stop there and see, what need to be done in terms of observing the feelings, and also hindrances will arise. And there you are doing the meditation on Dhammas, observing the Dhammas. So you begin with Kaya Anupassana. You will see, iti ajjatang va kaya. Thus, internally in your body, you observe things as they arise. Bahiddha va kaya. Externally, you will see, what led you to experience something. Ajjatta Bahiddhava, you see the both connection between internal and external. And Samudaya Dhammanupassi, you see the arising nature. Vaya Dhammanupassi, the passing away nature. You see, this is again the Dhammanupassana woven into the Kayanupassana. So you aren't really alone, left with Kayanupassana in that place. I would strongly recommend you to see the restrainment part, Ajjattangva part in the Satipatthana Sutra, to really stop there and see how important that part is, how essential it is for you to experience a full experience of something better in your Kayanupassana practice. So not, sometimes people think Kayanupassana is just observing the repulsiveness. That is not true. There are more things to be done for you to travel far in the path toward Nibbana. Therefore, it's best you don't really stick to just the Kayanupassana. Try to learn the other aspects, the other things that we just discussed today, including the Vedananupassana and Chittanupassana. And you will see that even in Kayanupassana, you have everything you need, but it's best you have the knowledge about Dhamma so that you know which direction to go. I hope that helps.
Bante, there is another question. This is from Indra Aryaratna. Dear Bante, I am talking about sitting meditation with Anapanasati meditation. When the meditation progress, you become to a stage that you cannot feel you inhale or exhale. You know that you do not have nivarana. Then you go to an empty space, still you can hear sounds. You get feelings, thoughts, and some shades of rupa. After that, if you could explain this situation, thank you, and Teruvan Saranai.
Right. So this is, I think, any meditation teacher knows that this is this is a question that is repeatedly asked by people. For you, when you get to that place where you hear sounds, but you feel like you are in an empty place, what you would do is to really program your mind, because sometimes we get habituated and we stop there and we think that we have come to the best of our experience. Sometimes we are fooled by that thought. And I would say that in that space, before you do the sitting, you would tell yourself that habitually, may I not stop there? May I direct my mind from uh, the rupa state to the arupa state? For example, this might also be a place where you are still in the form state, the rupa state. You're experiencing the form realm fully, and you will need to bring the factor, mindfulness factor, into the table and work very closely, like why and where am I? Why am I stuck here? And I did start with Anapanasati. What am I missing? Perhaps you can bring your Dhammanupassana. Say, for example, from the 7 factors of awakening, you can bring the investigation factor, and you will become a little busy in your mind, noticing how things came about and how things can be improved. I think this requires some skill, and you are able to do that. Absolutely possible. And if you aren't seeing any progress, I think I would recommend you to go read the part on 7 factors of awakening in the Satipatthana Sutra, and see the state where the sutra talks about upekka, equanimity, and see if that understanding will help you straighten up your practice. Did that help?
Yeah, Venerable, I'll give the questions. Another one from Peter. Does the practice of the 4 foundations of mindfulness entail progression from one to the other sequentially, or is it simultaneous?
Well, that's a great question, also been asked many times. You can think that it is sequential, but I think for an experienced practitioner, they cultivate simultaneously, because if you think about, say, practicing, like I said earlier, like the 4 elements, feelings arise, and your attention may switch to feeling aspect of meditation. You see, it is all woven together, and you can't just abandon one practice and stay with another. Therefore, I would say that they all are progressive. Of course, you can see that the Buddha has laid them out in such a way that it begins with Anapanasati practice, giving us the idea that this is progressive, and you can think that way. There's no harm in seeing that this is where you start. But when you have done a little bit more practice, you see that you can begin from anywhere and maintain your practice. And if there is something lacking, for example, you lack peace of mind, you can go back to that root, which is the Anapanasati, establishing mindfulness in breathing. And you can switch to what happens to be your experience. Sometimes with little bit of Anapanasati, you are able to get into the previous state of your calmness, and you will be left with some level of samadhi to deal with, and you can deal with that right there without having to go through the whole cycle. So I think it's all about the experience, and there's no rule, but it should be the Buddha says it should be done according to the way he explained, Evang bhavitabang. It should be done according to what he said. Most people don't do it that way. Just like buying an electronic something and without reading the manual, you plug it and you want it to work, and boom, you realize it, you have burnt it. Now you go to read the manual to realize that this is where you plugged it wrong. So your meditation is like that. Better you continuously read the manual, come to know about it, use all the teachers and essential readings, so you are well equipped in the path. And when something goes wrong, you know where to fix it. And it doesn't have to be starting from Anapanasati always. It can be started from, for example, if you are dealing with lustful thoughts, maybe you will start with the repulsiveness of the body and then come back to Anapanasati.
Thank you, Bante. There are two questions. If Bante can give a short answer, that would be good. These Swarna, are Kasina meditations Buddha's method of meditation or later development?
Well, if you read the Mahasakuludaya Sutra, this is Majjhima Nikaya 43, if my memory serves correctly, the Buddha says that me savaka, bahu savaka, many of my disciples do the Kasina meditation as well, and he has listed down other meditations cultivated by his students, and he explains this to Sakuludaya. So I would never take Kasina off from the Buddha's teachings based on those sutras and several other sutras I have seen, where the Buddha says that many of my disciples prefer to do Kasinas. You know, you can expand yellow Kasina and have your mind empty, and you can play with it. So these instructions are clearly there, and please read the Sakuludaya Sutra, and maybe you will have your doubts cleared.
Thank you, Bante. Another one more question from Ilanga Samaratunga. What exactly is Ajjatta Bahijjava?
All right, so Ajjata and Bahidha are found in the Satipatthana Sutra after each each aspect of developing your mindfulness. For example, it is found so many times in the Kayanupassana alone. Ajjata is the internal experience, Bahidha is the external experience. This is very simple. If you read Chachakka Sutta in Majjhima Nikaya, it says clearly that what is also in Satipatthana Sutra, Ajjata Ayatana is 6 internal sense bases. You know, your eye, nose, ear, these are internal. Bahidha Ayatana is what you see, what you hear, etc. So this is just basically Ajjata and Bahidha. So Ajjata Bahidha together means your eye consciousness, ear consciousness. So what connects the two together? And you see eye consciousness won't arise if the physical eye wasn't present. And what really connects all these three is the two are connected with consciousness. You become conscious on something, and then contact arises, phassa arises. If none of these were present in the deepest meditative experience, phassa, contact, won't arise, and your experience will cease. So I think Ajjata Bahidha is very essential for your understanding of Dhammanupassana. Please, I trust that you got some understanding. I think you will do more observations and clarify it on your own.
Thank you, Bante. Can we now remove the share screen? If Bante can do that. Now, can I invite Dr. Sumana? I think Dr. Sumana is really from Sri Lanka, senior lecturer at the University of Peradeniya. Currently, we are in Sweden. Can I ask Dr. Sumana to maybe just to give a brief comments on Bante Kusala's Dhamma sermon.
Thank you very much, Professor Vatwala. I am very grateful to you, first of all, for having invited Bante Kusala to this Dhamma speech. The whole speech is actually a reflection of what he has been practicing. And it's not only that he is a scholar, but he is a true practitioner. And that is what I noticed in the whole talk. Of course, I have listened to Bante earlier, and as Bante also mentioned that he knows me from Peradeniya University, and I happened to be a teacher, and I am very proud of being a teacher of his. But of course, he is a greater teacher in his way of practicing the Dhamma. And wonderful presentation, Bante. I'm very inspired and very refreshing and exemplary. Thank you very much indeed. And I will save the time for others to ask questions or comments. I can talk about Bante many, long hours, but I think I should save the time for others to reflect on Bante's talk. And I strongly, recommend that Professor Vatwala can share this talk if you have recorded it with others. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you, Dr. Sumana. We will be certainly sending the recording to everyone who is attending this our Dhamma Desana. And I think we are very fortunate that you are here and teacher of Bante Kusala, and we are very appreciative and much merit to Bante Kusala. Now I will ask our member, Mr. Kamal Nilavira, who is based now in the UK, to maybe give the closing remarks and thanksgiving to Bante. You have to unmute, unmute Kamal. Kamal, you have to unmute.
Right. Hi everybody. It was a wonderful Dharma Desana, and we are very grateful to Mr. Seneka Samarsingh to organize Bante Kusala to conduct this sermon at 4 o'clock in the morning in the US. We are very, very much indebted, and I hope that we will be able to meet and have another session in the future. And also I want to thank Drs. Sumana Ratnayaka and also all our participants. We had over 104 participants, 110 participants today for their time and for the participation with the All Ceylon Buddhist Congress, and to Professor Vatwala, who has done a yeoman service organizing these Dharma Desanas. And it is, I think, a great service that we are able to capture the audience from worldwide and get erudite monks like Bante Kusala to be with us. Once again, this sermon was very enlightening, and thank you very much for all the coordination and assistance given to us. Thank you.
Thank you, Kamal. Much merit to you. Can we now wind up if Bante can give the blessings to the gods and those who have departed.
Akasattha ca bhummattha deva naga mahiddhika punyantang anumoditva chiran rakkhantu sasanang chiran rakkhantu desanang chiran rakkhantu tvang sada. May the suffering ones be suffering free, fear struck fearless be. May good things happen to all beings. May all beings find relief from suffering. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Thank you very much, Bante. Much merit to you, and also for Seneka for inviting and arranging the Dhamma Desana. Thank you, Dr. Sumana and Mr. Kamal.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, we'll keep in touch, Bante.
We will.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Absolutely, absolutely. Please stay safe.
The same to you. And you have another Dhammadeshana today. Yeah, he has already gone. Are you Dr. Sena Singh in the USA or Senegal?
I'm from Winnipeg, Canada.
Canada?
Canada.
I see. Yes, I'm living in Sweden. So the world has become very small, it seems.
Yeah, of course.
Very close. Thanks to
Right.
Corona. Thanks
Thank
to
you,
the
and then,
Corona restrictions. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. And we'll
Thank you.
wind up
Thank
now.
you.
Okay, thank you,
Thank
Kamal.
you.
Thank you. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you,
Thank
Lakshman.
you. Thank you, Professor.
Right. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Sumana. Bye.
Thank you. Thanks, Lakshman. You had a busy week now. You are going for this funeral tomorrow. is
Yeah.
it?
I have to go now. Now itself, we are having the meeting. So I will. Okay.
Right. Thank you. Bye.
Okay, right.